Welcome back to the home build, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about penetrations in our WRB system. The system that we have here is Tyvek Drainwrap. So like every house, like every building, there's going to be penetrations such as water spigots, light fixtures, outlets, the heating, cooling, dryer vents going out the sides of the house, all that sort of thing. So we're going to cover all those types of things and how to flash those so that they're watertight for your house, so water and air are not getting into your house. So let's go ahead and we'll get started. All right, here is our first penetration for the wall. These are all sleeves that go right into electric panel. I got one sleeve that'll go to a future shop. I have one's going to go to my septic. I have one that goes underneath the patio, going that direction as a sleeve for future, maybe hot tub, I don't know. And then two others that will go underneath the driveway, could head up to the north side, maybe a future gate or lighting, whatever. But I want to have all those things in and ready just in case. And then also I do have an extra spot here if I needed to add something later on, such as irrigation. Okay. But anyhow, for waterproofing into our WRB, I have a prime spruce. Got the texture. It's going to be the same kind of texture as our trim for our hardy trim. Well, I'm going to have hardy lap siding going all the way around this. All the connections need to be watertight. So I drilled the holes. I'm going to have conduit sleeves like this as a junction box for snaking the wire and going into our panel. So this is all going to get caulked before I install it, so I can pull it back, caulk it, put it in, that sort of thing. Also, kind of as a aesthetic thing, I have them all in such a way they kind of look like they're in different heights, but I want the tops of them to be the same elevation. Just something that trying to aesthetically look more pleasing. Got flashing on top. It's metal flashing with the kick out for a drip edge. That metal flashing I got bent on the corners, so it wraps around the edges. Okay, and then from there I got a peel and stick, so it's the metal flashing screwed in with peel and stick. Okay, it's got a good bond, except for there's going to be one more step, just like any kind of penetration. I'm going to end up cutting this Tyvek going across here, sneaking another layer of Tyvek underneath it, taping it down to this. It'll be behind this, so any water, it shingles down, and there can't be this horizontal seam here. Water can sit on it, just like this bead is right there, is going to try its best to get in behind it. Okay, so shingling everything so the water just falls off. Around this, the hardy siding goes around it, leaving a minimum of 1/8 of an inch gap between the trim here and your lap siding for caulking. It's got to have, it can't be tight. For one, it expands and contracts, and two, caulking needs 3 points of contact. So side of the trim and something on the back. Okay, and that creates a good seal from the weather for here. So if you're wondering how to bend this flashing like it is here, check back on some previous early on videos. You can see me bending some flashing like that. Some people have other methods. They want to bend it up and that sort of thing. I like this. It covers this inside corner. It would have to get caulked very well right here in this corner and then down, which I'm okay with. Going up, there's some other areas that are exposed. So I just find that this, for me, is the best for weather protection. All right, to finish this out, got me a scrap piece of the Tyvek Drainwrap, same product, and it needs to go about 6 inches past on each side, and I'm going to cut a slit in it so that this can tuck up and under. So this can also be for holes that might have got put into it on accident. I almost hate doing it, but it's part of the process. Now I got a lap there. I'm going to take my stapler. This is all going to get wrapped over. Should get caps on it. But it's going to work. All right, tucked underneath. Going to be about 6 inches past, tucked underneath. Sticking up just about like that. I'm going to go by just a little bit more since my piece is a little long. And that gets taped right like that with Tyvek tape. So it's a little wet, so I'm going to go ahead and dry it off. Tape seems to stick better when things are dry. And this Tyvek tape's real sticky stuff, but kind of a trade tip for the tape, so it's easier to pull the next time. Hold there in place. There. So it's first and held there. Sides first, then the top. That way it shingles. And that side, this other side, I'm going to square up. It's a little bit. Oh, there's the sun. Okay, and then across the top. So if you have any questions, refer back to the Tyvek installation guide. It shows all these steps for making repairs and holes. Same thing. All right, now on the bottom, I'm not going all the way across. I'm just going to do little spot pieces so water can drain if it does get behind it. Like that. They're in real nice. The other thing is right down here, the Hardy requires about 1 inch of space right here so it can dry out. Which is important that you don't have all this material down here in this corner, then it's going to be exposed. So leaving it sticking up just a little bit. This flashing's about a 4-inch flashing leg on this end, so nice and well covered. And other than that, all that's left is these conduits get caulked, and I do need to put a bracket down here. A pressure treated 2x4 with clamps to clamp these back to it so it holds it in where it can't spring out like this one. Okay, you got to do that by code, and plus it holds it in place. It's the right thing to do. So caulking, clamps. Other than that, this is complete. Got to go to the store, get some clamps, and get actually another coupling for this one to finish that out. But other than that, we can move on. Got going now is our cable box is going to go on the wall, so I got to create an 8-inch by 8-inch box trim so the siding can go around it with flashing just like this other one over here. Here's my conduit, so I kind of center on my conduit. I marked stud, so their stud's going to be right here, so they can drill a hole on either side of that stud to run the the coax or cable going up on the inside of the wall. But This is for the transition for their box. So what I created here, since I didn't have a 8" by 8" piece of trim, I'm creating a scarf joint. So it's going to come down, and notice that the angle of this cut is so if any water comes along this face, it doesn't go back in towards the wall, it sheds out toward the outer edge. Also, it's primed on each end so that it can get caulked on the sides. And I fabricated a piece of trim that goes right there. So that's called a scarf joint. It's important that you do that. Butt joints just leaves a spot for water to get in. So think of things like that. And I'll show you when we're all done. Weathering in for the WRB, you saw the video of how this is going. Everything else is relatively the same. So electrical outlets, lights on the outside, they don't really have quite a code. They just need to be weathered in, as far as I interpret it. You know, this is also, keep in mind, I'm a carpenter. This is what I do. I'm not an electrician, not a plumber, but have a fair good amount of research and knowledge on that to a point to where I can take care of this type of stuff. So as far as that sort of thing, I got a cutout for electrical outlet. It's got it flashed. Then I got my peel and stick, and notice that for my Tyvek, I haven't done it here yet, and I'm going to do that here in just a sec. I'm going to make a slice across, slide in another piece of Tyvek, and lapping over. You got to have that peel and stick on your flashing, not just Tyvek tape. It's got to be that peel and stick. It has to do something with the materials touching, rubbing each other, and how they interact with one another. So it kind of needs that. That's what it says on the installation instructions for Tyvek. So good point to know. Cable box, everything's going to be treated the same way. So same thing up there. I got it all flashed, and then the peel and stick, Fortiflash, or in this case gelled weld, same compatible product for Tyvek. The reason I use the gel weld simply is it's a little stickier and in a little bit colder climate than Fortiflash. So the Fortiflash, I had to have a heat gun because it's a little cold out. Actually right now it's about 45 degrees, so relatively cold. Heating it up and then pressing it on, it sticks really good. So no, that's a technique for getting that to stick. So all these locations though are still going to get Tyvek, so a piece that's cut, going across, tucked underneath, lapped over, and then taped down. And I still leave spots for it to breathe and drain. So that's important, still allowing it to drain. Another note, you're probably not going to see it on this video, but later on I'm going to cut in for an outside or an exterior outlet box. Yeah, I think I have one right here. So one like this for the light fixture. So I'll get a hole saw, drill that, slide that in. I'll trim these on the back side, and so it can suck up tight to the box. Okay, then from there I'm also gonna caulk all around this perimeter so that it's weathered in at that point. Going on through, now I can have a wire just going right into these boxes. Okay, same thing with a type of box for that. Here's my boxes for my outlets. They are gonna have to get trimmed, okay, so that it can suck up from the backside of that wood and the sheathing. Okay, the little flanges on the top and bottom, that helps suck that up tight. These suck it up against the sheathing. Okay, caulking all the way around it, that box, so that no water can get in from that point as well. That's considered waterproof. It's also going to be airtight. That's a big one for any part of the main part of the house. Even though this is the garage, I still want it to be airtight as much as possible. I want to eliminate as many small, tiny little air penetrations that are going in those type locations. So I want things to breathe. That's what the Tyvek does, but I don't want water and air getting in. So all right, so we're here on the front of the house, and as you can see, we completed a trim box for an outlet, and we got a water spigot not too far away. It's all got the peel and stick. You can kind of see it underneath there, and there you go. You can see it underneath it. Ooh, trying to get that up. It's underneath there, just like it is here. It's got the flashing. That keeps any water from wanting to go behind it. Hosing off the back patio or the front patio here. Water getting on. Siding's gonna be in between. There'll be caulking on that. So that's good. That's where the point is where it's gonna get behind it, is right in here. So we gotta have that flashing. Up above, there's also another light fixture. And it's got the metal flashing, peel and stick butyl, and then Tyvek over top of it. The guys that do Tyvek, they got to come finish doing that upper section up there. But other than that, you know, this is done. Other than need to prime this so that when we go to put the box in, and of course cut it out, when we go to put the box in, that all gets caulked, puts on, and then the cover that goes on that, of course, will have a gasket that goes around it, so extra protection there. Here, this is gonna have to be caulked and also fastened back to there. They're still roughing in, so that still has to get complete. So the next thing I'm gonna show you is another outlet up high. These are for Christmas lights, so you can kind of see one up in there, and how I still have the flashing, the metal flashing, and then the peel and stick above it. So that's protected. When they put the siding on, nail into that flashing, it's self-healing. But for that, even though it's underneath the eave, still treat it as if it's out in the open with no overhang. So that's how that's going to get treated. Eventually that gets cut out for electrical box to go in and continue on. Of course, that'll get caulked in place, and then a weatherproof cover over top of that. So all right, so what we got here is the condensing unit, or the heat pump, is going to be going out here. So it's got all these lines coming on the outside of it. I need to still take this with a peel and stick butyl and then lap it into the Tyvek system. No flashing, no metal flashing needed here. The siding, how it's going to apply, the first course should go underneath. Then after that, laps over, and eventually it will also get caulked around this. On the bottom side, see if I can show you, it's got a rubber seal. This needs to have some sort of liquid flashing going on it. There we go. And so that'll get done right towards the end and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut some butyl, and I'm also gonna cut some Tyvek, and so that it shingles, make a slice in here, shingles in, treat it just like the other penetrations. Go that far. Right. Here, feel a nail or a staple. So that'll get taped. And that, go get the piece of Tyvek. The other area of concern that I want to share with you is, see the little corner where the overhang comes and meets the house? That's an area where it gets neglected as far as the correct type waterproofing, and water could get behind it. Roofers did a good job at the start of the good job, and this is by code and required by the Hardy siding, is to do a little kick out right here for your roof flashing, but nothing is right in here. There's a transition period where there's nothing there, and it could be a potential area for, if water buildup got behind here, it's going right in the house and rotting things out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut this 45 kind of like a window, and I'm going to sneak some of that peel and stick behind it. Okay, and then flap everything on. So this is how you do it. So as you can see, this is kind of how it was left, and it's not good enough. So I got to pull these staples out. Let's see if I can just pull them out. Probably won't. Pop some of these staples out. That metal goes right up to there. All right, I'm gonna give you a couple different views of it. So I got the Tyvek peel back, it all will go back on it. And there's a little bit of room for being able to sneak some that peel and stick behind this right here. So if any water did overflow this little tiny back dam, I would think this would be a little bigger, but if it went over and tried to roll down, everything still will be shingled properly so that it'll shingle on down. So that's the whole idea behind this. So I'm going to cut a few strips. So this is what I have. 6-inch piece will be better. I do have some 6-inch. We're gonna go get some 6-inch. All right, so I got my peel and stick back behind it. Had this back paper still on it. Okay, it's cold, so I did bring my heat gun over so I can heat it up if I need to. So I got this peeling. Now back behind it. Anything that flows over, just starts shingling down, and it makes a much better much better seal. So got my heat gun, so I want it to be nice and sticky. Really doesn't take a whole lot, because this Fortiflash, when it's cold, it doesn't like to stick with it. Darn. There's other products that might stick better. Okay. Doesn't take a whole lot. As well. So I'm gonna fold this on down now that that's done, and it'll get taped. And I'm gonna tape this little corner right here. This next flap goes down. I got a good watertight seal. All right, so I want you to see how I trim that a little. Get my Tyvek tape, and need to cut off that little flap I made on it. And it all gets tucked under. Right like that. That's sealed. This gets flapped down, and it goes over top of it as well. But again, anything that might get behind it. So the siding is going to come up this side here and go across this top, and it'll get lots of caulking there that's compatible with the siding. But caulking fails, so making sure everything behind it is watertight. Here's kind of another look at it, all shingled properly. Flash tucked underneath it, tight against here. This will get caulked for just in case. That's all we got that we can do at this point. Not just any old caulk, something compatible. Okay, a liquid flash, and it's all. This is up high enough and shingled, so this is good. So I got an outlet here. I'm going to take this one off. It's just a little too small for the trim and that sort of thing. So I got one a little bit bigger. I like to try to be as discreet as possible with some things like this, but the cover that goes over this is just a little bigger. So taking a cordless my cordless finish nailer. This is an 18 gauge nail gun. Sure makes things nice and easy. Make sure the top of this has a little bit of a slope to it. That's so nice. So nice. Make sure for aesthetics is plumb. Right there. It's on there good, and then when I put that outlet box on there, clamping it down creates a real tight seal. So if you did yank on your extension cord or whatever you plug in, it's not just pulling the trim right off. Plus it gets caulked, all that sort of thing. So other than that, now I'm ready for my Tyvek to go on. Work involved in doing something like that, so taking these few steps prevent water from coming in. It's going to save me time, money, headache, heartache, all that sort of thing later on. All right, one thing I want to show you is how I cut my flashing. So you can see this is how I cut it. This area here is the width of my trim block, okay, and then having a notch just like this. This distance out is about this leg distance there. So I'm going to take my pliers. All right, so we got our flashing here. Right at that notch, I'm going to take this, bend this one first. And then the next one, bend down, come together like that. So it hooks over the trim. And since this has got a little bit of an angle to it, it covers any of that up. I'm gonna do the other side, bend that in. Bend that down, crimp it on the sides. I'm going to take my pliers, 10 snips. I'm going to make this look pretty too, because that is a spot that it will get seen. About like that. Okay, so the width of my trim, okay, the depth also needs to be what this is. This is 5/4. This particular block is a 5/4 Hardy. What I was using earlier was a 5/4 SPF. It's a primed spruce. So trying to find the center. And about there. Making it nice and level, so that's good. Trying to nail through hardy, which is a cement board, can be a pain in the butt if you're not using a pneumatic nailer like this. So, siding, when it goes up and around it, got to have the minimum of an 1/8 inch. I like a 1/4 in certain spots. Having a gap here so that caulking can go down, caulking on the sides, top leg. There. I like better than the 4 flash. Kind of liking the stapling. And Tyvek tape. Plus, Tyvek tape is breathable, permeable, and Butyl's not. All right. Well, that's a wrap for this. That concludes the flashing for your WRB, in this case Tyvek, for your outlets, your spigots, your light fixtures, your cable boxes, your little connections, corner pieces where the roof meets the roof meets the house itself. So all good points. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you use these practices in the future. Don't try to go skimp on those spots, because that's where leaks happen. That's where rot happens, and you don't want those headaches later. So that's it. I'll talk to you next time. See you next time on the home build. And like always, be safe out there.